Okay, here's how Miro works. See, it's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk?
Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up.
Why?
He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
It's easy to lose sleep when you're worried about your health insurance plan. But when you have a family counting on you to take care of them, having the right coverage is more important than ever. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help. With low to no cost plans for you and your family, so you never go it alone. That's our Anthem. Click to learn more.
What's up, y'all? This is Nina Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. And I know that you are here to listen to the best humans on the planet to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. Let's do this. I love speaking about things that I know are going to change and transform the way you see everything, whether it's in leadership and entrepreneurship and life in general. And I found someone for you. Her name is Jeannie Moravitz Smith. She creates breakthrough experiences from the inside out, allowing her clients to create an extremely healthy relationship with themselves and others. Super important. And she has already helped thousands of leaders learn how to take charge of their catabolic thoughts and feelings that control their mind, and how to use the anabolic energy to act and embrace change. And as you guys know, we love talking energy and leadership and business. So this is going to be a lot of fun, Jeannie. A lot of fun. Welcome to Straight Talk. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Nina. It's my honor to be here. What a pleasure.
Thank you. So much fun. So we're going to dig all into everything that you're an expert at. So before we get into all that, let's get to know you a little bit, Jeannie. Who are you? Who is Jeannie?
So you get the short and or the long or whatever I feel like.
Whatever you feel like throwing at us.
How I am. So I grew up in Los Angeles. I didn't travel very far when I ended up doing my undergrad here in San Diego and then finished grad school down here as well in Orange County. So I've stayed Southern Cal. I know you're in New York, so we're on quite opposite spectrums of the U.S., but I have spent the last 30 years doing human-centric work and anything related to business that has to do with other humans. So that's pretty much any aspect of an organization because you have somebody running it in some form or another. Yeah. So I work with leaders at all levels. So it could be an emerging leader, a CEO, the entire executive team, or even individuals who are leaders of their own life. And helping them really be their accountability buddy to make the changes that they've always desired. So it can be anything from they want to switch careers, they want to be promoted, they no longer want to be in a role that they manage when they finally realize that they've been promoted all these years and they don't love it. So I help people find their passion, for example, and help the organizations create different paths for people who want to be independent contributors and not necessarily people managers. And so that's an option too. I mentioned decades, years and years and years, over 30 years, I've been in human resources, and I started my own business in 2005. So we're pushing almost 20 years doing my own gig of those 30. And it's been very rewarding to be able to come in, share my knowledge, skills, and abilities about human in the workplace, and learn how people, when they understand what ticks them off and what makes them tick, is really when they shine.
That's so good. And I know we're going to have a great conversation because I, you're in it. So you realize the shift, right? In difference of the workforce nowadays and how things are just looking different, feeling different when it comes to managing people, right? So I mean, there's a big shift upon us, right? So tell me about, what I love in what you were introducing yourself and what you do. You said even people who are leaders in their lives. I love that. So I need to ask about that. What do you mean by that? Break that down.
So a lot of people, when I explain, oh, I'm a certified leadership coach, or I've worked with leaders for decades, or 1,000 leaders, they're like, oh, well, you can't necessarily help me because, I manage the soccer team and I run the PTA meeting at the school and my family of 8. Well, you know what? You are a leader. You are a leader. And every single individual on this planet leads themselves and the life that they want. And I help them navigate that, the obstacles. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of obstacles. So you don't necessarily have to be a CEO or a director in a corporate office, a corporate organization to be a leader. I think every single one of us is a leader of our own life. And when we realize that, you can take charge. This is where I know you're going to ask me about this, taking charge of the thoughts and feelings in your mind, because you lead it. The choice is yours. And that's really how I help people. I recently this year became a certified confidence coach. And just to have some more tools in my toolbox and to be able to help people, because I really started noticing that a lot of people are lacking confidence and self-esteem. And they may not necessarily describe it like that. They're not going to go, hey, I'm looking for a confidence coach. But what's going to come out where I'm like, a lot of individuals are running their adult life, leading their adult life because of something someone said or didn't help them. Someone said something to them or programmed them in such a way when they were younger, or didn't. They didn't give them the tools to be confident. Yeah. And so I always say, it's never too late. Learn these things and start taking charge, making the changes. And especially now, since 2020, 21, 22, I'll tell you, the last year was probably worse. 22 is worse than the previous 2. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, I'm not the only one who's felt like, ooh, the world is changing. Not only the work world, but our lives, like everything's different. And so there's a lot of people who are feeling they want to switch jobs, but they're not confident enough to do it. And so I can help them with that as well.
That's great. And I'm really glad that you broke that down, because I think even just knowing that piece about you're a leader in your life shifts you a little bit too in your mindset. Sometimes when you speak to people, they're like, oh, I don't lead, or I'm not a manager. I'm like, yes, you totally lead. You lead yourself all the time. And that's something I believe in too. Like, people who lead like big families or their kids or whatever, you're leading humans, you're leading people. I think we just, put too many things in boxes, so you're a director, so you're a leader. If you're a COO, so you're the leader. But all of us have to lead. Even, I'm a director as well. And I have a team of I think it's 17 under me. Right. But they have to be leaders. They have to lead their own, make their own decisions, lead with it, whatever is happening at that moment. If I'm not right there, so I thank you for breaking that down. Sure. I also, so yes, you touched on a bunch of little things that of course I want to dive into, right? So I do want to talk to you though about what I said in your bio, because I want you to break that down first, and we're gonna break that out. So the catabolic and the anabolic, right? Because that's so key in leadership, and I just wanted you to kind of explain a little bit of that to us.
Okay. So when I went to coaching school, there was 2 parts of it. You could become a certified professional coach, which I did. And then you can also become a Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner. So what is that? They call it the ELI, and it's an assessment that I prefer my clients start with, because what it does is it gives a snapshot in time of how we show up when we are with our friends, with our loved ones, when we're having a good time, no stress, no pressure, everything's great. And it puts it in 7 different levels of energy. And as you know, the whole world is run by energy. And there's a comparison to what happens to you when you're stressed. And the results of this assessment, I can help clients realize what triggers show up for them and what triggers the stress. So it could be something like, I'll give my example, what I learned through that process. I had to be debriefed by 5 different people on the same assessment. So boy, did I get to know myself. One of my core values is respect. So I didn't realize that. I knew I liked to be respected, but I didn't realize how much it meant to me. So when somebody is compromising my value of respect, I would tend to react. Like something was triggered, I felt weird, and then I might like, why are you asking me that question? Like in that manner. But when I was able to understand my core values, what's happening to me, what am I feeling, how am I going to now take that energy, emotions, it comes into the front of your brain. What am I going to do with it? Or it comes into your brain. Am I going to push it to forward and respond in a way that I won't regret? Or is it going to go down into the brain stem where I'm freaking out and feared because I'm being compromised in some way? So now you go into kind of fight or flight. So if you can understand what it feels like, what's happening, and I'm talking within seconds, this is getting to really know who you are at the core.
Right.
Then you say, ooh, I'm feeling this. How do I want to respond versus react? Because you cannot take it back. You can't take back the way that you've left people to feel. They may not, as you've heard this before, they may not always remember what you had said, but they will never forget how they felt after the conversation they had with you. You're nodding your head because you remember a time. I remember a time where I had a CEO yelling at me so bad, like 8:30 at night. I had been there since 7 a.m, and he was yelling at me because he was mad at someone else. And I remember my feeling like I had like sweat building up in the back of my neck because no one's ever talked to me like that. Like he was disrespecting me. That's way before I even studied values and how important that is to and how we show up. So anabolic energy is taking everything that comes in and saying, you know what, I'm going to put anabolic is positive, catabolic is very negative. So do I want to play a victim here? Do I want to be stressed out? Do I want to fight or flight? Or am I going to flip what's happening around and say, glass half full. Oh, that person doesn't know how to do this or whatever it is. So it's looking at things through a different lens.
And what you're talking about is so important, isn't it? Because it's literally about digging into you before you could even lead others, really effectively.
100%. And I've been saying that a lot lately. We cannot really successfully manage or lead anyone else till we figured out who we are. And then the next step to that is share who we are with those we lead. And a lot of people don't. Well, I have to put my very professional strict, I have to be a badass at work. No, you can be a badass, but you should be nice too. Nice and kind and considerate and let your staff members know you care. And this is one that I coach a lot of people on, but some of them are like, but I don't care. And you know what? Then maybe you should step out of that role.
Then you shouldn't lead.
Don't try to pretend you care because people aren't stupid. They're going to see right through it. They feel it. If you don't care about people, then stop leading them.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And that's when I
Yeah.
say, look, maybe this organization has this other opportunity for you because you climb the corporate ladder because you think the money's here because you have to manage this huge team. You're not happy and they're not happy.
Right.
And guess what happens? The bottom line of the organization, it's not happy because there's such dysfunction.
And then, but that's also, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's also the organization's responsibility too, because a lot of times they just promote you because you've been there a long time. And just because somebody's killing it on the floor of sales does not mean they're going to kill it as a director or manager.
And when you say sales, that's usually always the case. Every company that I worked with, like, oh, this is the head salesperson. And then guess what? You make them a leader. Yep. They don't like it. Sales go down. Put them right back into the top sales position.
Yep.
And they did, and give them the same compensation option, like opportunities, right? So because you need independent contributors too. Not everybody needs to lead people.
Right. And you know what though, Jeannie? They're not putting up with that crap no more either. Nowadays, what? This workforce is different. Okay.
I love it. I love this new workforce. I call them the newbies. And I say this all the time. I don't think that's offensive to call them a newbie because the opposite is an oldie, and that would be me. Right. So I think I love the newbies coming into the work world because one, they don't take the crap. They actually want to be seen as a whole. So they don't want this work life, personal life separation. They want to show up whole. So if you don't like me for who I am or whatever I got on my skin or whatever I got going on, then this isn't the place for me.
No, and they're out.
They're like, peace out, right? I am out. And what are they? They're calling it like ghosting, and I mean, just like they're vanishing. So and what's happening right now is people are staying on board, collecting a paycheck, and doing nothing. Like in big organizations, because they're so not interested. You know why? Because their values were compromised,
right?
And they may not even know what the values were. Right. But you know, there's something didn't feel right. It wasn't a mutual relationship. And that's what's so important for leaders to get to know their staff. And I mentioned it earlier, leaders, if you don't know what ticks your staff off and what makes them tick, that's where you need to start. And the only way to do it is to ask empowering questions. Open-ended questions that they can't say yes or no to. They have to answer, but you have to care to do this. Yeah. So it all comes back to that.
Yeah. And you know, it is. And I definitely believe that because you're a leader, director, CEO, whatever, C-suite, whatever, it is your responsibility to kind of take the lead on that. And it's also the responsibility of the employee too, because they need to do their homework. If they're going to work for an organization, does their values line up with yours? And if it doesn't, don't even apply. You know, it's like, you know, because that's the other thing too, right? You see the most people, maybe nowadays, I'm not sure because I haven't looked for a job in like almost 10 years. So I don't know. But, you know, I would think that most people look at the salary first, right? And then the job description, and then maybe, you know, the values. Sometimes we wait till the values until last because we're looking at the paycheck and the position. Right. So there has to be a better way, a strategic way to do that so that we can get the workforce back where we want them to be aligned with the company, but also for the company to thrive. Right. Because the company's there to employ people. Right. So, I mean, it could be a win-win if you allow it to be a win-win. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Back in you working in this workforce nowadays, like say that you were the one working in the workforce nowadays, that CEO would have yelled at you. That would not have happened. You would have been like, who are you talking? What? Out of here.
And so I was never the typical employee or the typical HR person. I always had that. You're just not like the rest. And I'm like, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Right. So that particular night when the CEO yelled at me.
Okay, here's how Miro works. See, it's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk?
Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up.
Why?
He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So, could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
Israel is 5,690 miles away from the U.S., 11 hours by plane. Hate travels faster. In a comment, in a post, in a second. Jewish hate is up 388% in the U.S. Black hate, Muslim hate, and Asian hate are up too. When one hate rises, they all do. Let's stand up to all hate together. Share and wear the blue square from standuptojewishhate.org.
I walked out and quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he called
That
me
would
back
have been
the
me
next,
too. Yeah.
he called me back the next day and he said, "You can't quit. We need you." And I go, "You need
Should have thought
to
about that yesterday.
never talk to me like that again, and never talk to anyone else in the organization like that again. Do I
Yeah.
have your commitment?"
Yeah.
Because that's
Good for you.
ridiculous. Now
Good for
tell
you.
me how ridiculous that was.
Yeah.
You know, and it never happened again.
Yeah. No, good. And you know what? Just playing a little bit of devil's advocate too, I can understand that he might have just taken it too far and then felt like crap afterwards too. I think we tend to forget that our COOs, our CFOs, all of them are human, right? And they're going to go through stuff too. And we're sometimes we're expecting them to be at this high performing level all the time.
Yeah.
But Jeannie, I mean, they're like you and me, right? I mean, they're going to go through some stuff, they're not always going to be friendly. They're not always going to be kind, but it's not on purpose and it's not to be cruel or that they're bad leaders either. I think it's humanity, right? Now, if you're always doing it, that's a problem. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Yeah, but you also have to be really careful,
Yeah,
especially in
100%.
those executive roles. If
Yeah.
you are creating a hostile work environment, it's going to cost you a lot of
100%.
money. And
Yes,
so
it
it's best
is.
to bite. Look at I have scars on my tongue from biting it. You have
That's funny.
to learn how to respond versus react. And if
Yeah.
that means you pause and take a
Yep.
deep breath,
Yep. Man, I do that a lot.
and then you respond. I educate people all the time. Nobody expects you to respond instantaneously.
Right.
So pause. It goes the same things in a job interview.
Yeah.
If you are interviewing with somebody and they ask you a question, it's perfectly okay to say, "Can I have a second? I want to gather my thoughts on that." Okay, I'm ready. So people don't think that they can do that, but when
Right.
you do that, guess what? The person interviewing you admires the fact that you are not going to just
Thoughtful.
be spewing out answers because it just seemed like the right thing at the tip of your tongue. You're actually
Right.
going to calculate your thoughts and then respond versus react. So I
Yeah.
encourage people to do that. And the people who have practiced it, they get the job because
Yeah.
they stand out as someone who's really making good, thoughtful decisions.
Right. I think when my COO sees this interview, she's going to think I spoke to you before I sent in my evaluation, because I just sent it in like 3 days ago. And I literally just put that. I said, one of the things I'm working on the most, because, you have your goals for the next year or whatever, is to pause, to not answer right now, and to answer when I'm ready to answer. And it's so funny. You just said like exactly almost verbatim what I
Oh
wrote
my
down.
goodness.
So she's going to be like, "Did you get that from Jeannie?" So Jeannie, tell me about what you do then, because I know that you're working with people and you're helping these, these leaders, and I know you're helping with their mindset and energy, which I freaking love, right? Are you helping organizations as a whole, like groups, like the
Yes.
manager and the teams? Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me how that
Yes.
goes.
So it could be we have a series of training programs that we can come in and do, anything from from training leaders on how to coach, like lead as a coach, emotional intelligence, different communication programs. Right now, I'm working with a rather large organization to, we did a DISC assessment on different teams, and we're looking at how people are showing up so that you can actually proactively give Nina what she needs, because if she's a D and I'm a C, then this is how I respond to how D's. But what if I gave her this way? You get a different response. So if you learn with the other team members how they show up in the work world, you can now provide service to them, like you said earlier, servant leadership, and be able to provide them what they need in a manner that's not so like chugging through mud. You know, sometimes it's like that way with some people. So I'm doing that as an example. So we can do assessments, training, speaking engagements. I have set up entire human resource functional departments in startups. So anything like that, performance management systems, that's it. Anything related to humans.
Does it, are you working with like just major organizations, or do you work with the smaller entrepreneurial groups and things like that as well?
My preference and where I grew up in is the smaller entrepreneur startups. I love startups. And if a startup is proactively setting up processes and functions and structure, everything based on their culture, they have saved so much time and energy. So catch them before they make all these mistakes, or and looking at the hiring process and saying, oh, well, that doesn't really support our culture, but this does. Let's change this, and that, for example. Then you're going to be bringing in the right people. Like put in the right assessments, who should be on the interview teams. So you get the right people on board, and you don't waste time, money, and energy. That's like the turnover, and just put the right systems in place. And so I like working with smaller organizations, entrepreneurs. I've been doing it since 2005. And so I think I definitely have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to share with other individuals on what not to do, what not to waste their time doing, where they should focus their zone of genius and hire people. Like we were talking VAs earlier, like get somebody to do this, and that, because you should be spending your time elsewhere running the business.
Do you do this virtually or
yes?
Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah, virtually or in person. You know, it's easier, and it really, since the whole world went virtual in 2020, I can work with anyone anywhere on the globe.
Right.
So it's been really good. I've had a lot of interaction, a lot of people on the East Coast, and it's just it's good. I've helping people just be able to like eliminate obstacles and avoid things that are going to cost them time, money, and energy.
Yeah, that's good. Let me ask you. So if somebody's listening right now and they're like, can you just give them like one idea or a tip that they can do to hire well in this market, in this, season of our lives? Because 2022 has been a challenge. I'll be honest. It's been a challenge to find people that'll stay long, people that'll do align with your values. You're right about that. They say they do on the interview, right? And then you quickly find that that's not the case. So what do you think is a good idea right now, or a good strategy for someone who's trying to hire a good team member?
So I love what you just said, like you have to paint a very, very, very accurate picture of the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
And what is it really like? And it's not all rainbow and sunshine. Right. Every fourth Friday, we work 20 hours. Like just lay it out there. Like the reality is this. And on the end of the quarter, we're all batshit crazy running around. Can you handle it? Like paint an accurate picture so that there's no surprises. Set up interview questions, which this is key, and different people to ask different questions. You don't know how many times I've gone into organizations like, oh, we have an interview team. I'm like, okay, Mary, what do you ask? I ask this, and that. Nina, what do you ask? Well, Mary's asking those same questions. So let's don't waste our time asking the same questions.
Yeah.
Let's everybody pick 4 questions each and then come together and have this team. But probe down, ask question upon question upon question upon question. And the way to do that is to have a seasoned person who has interviewed and they really and they're intuitive. Like I totally believe in intuition. So come in and say, I don't know. I actually think this person's BSing you here. Like they can play a mean game on the interview process, but they don't know S about S right here, right? So you need somebody who's a very skilled interviewer to determine if they're a good fit. There's assessments we can do.
So good.
That's key if they're being honest on the assessments. And don't just hire, we all know this, a warm body who talks a mean game. It's your job to evaluate them like you would a car, a house. You're going to do an inspection on a house. Put as much effort into that. Don't just go, oh my God, she went to my school and I really like her. Don't do that. Like we had so much in common. Absolutely no. You probably want to bring somebody who you don't have things in common with. So, and hire those, figure out where the gaps are in the organization and hire those people who are stronger than you.
Yeah.
In those areas. And
good.
If you want to retain them, let them do what you hired them to do. Do not micromanage. I can't even believe we use the word micromanage in 2022. That was something from the damn 80s, right? 2022. We do hire them and communicate. That's not just, I guess I'm giving you way more, but communicate.
I love it.
Communicate all the time.
All the time.
And get to know them. Get to know them as a whole person, not just how they show up at work. Ask them more. Find out what Nina does and what she needs from you as a leader. Be that coach. Make them have an opportunity to improve and be even stronger.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid that they're going to take your job. Don't be afraid that they're going to take your job.
Yes, exactly. If you're doing your job well, there's nothing to be afraid of. Do your job well, there's nothing to be afraid of. Right?
Bam.
I think the only time that we become afraid is when your ass is not doing what you're supposed to do.
Bingo.
That's bottom line,
Bingo.
And I agree. Like everything you said just sings to my heart because I'm a leader and I'm a servant leader, but I do everything that you said. But I think it's also the coach side of me, right? Been a coach for a couple of years. And I don't know, maybe we should just have all these leaders take coaching classes because it does something for you. It gives you empathy. It helps you become a better listener. You really are intuitive. You're starting to really dig in. And that's what happens with a lot of the team members on my team have when they leave and thrive, right? And they still text me, they still call me to see how I'm doing. They remember my birthday. Those are, I'm the director. They're just going off to do these different things, right? And they're just like, hey, Neen, just wanted to say, I thought about you today. I hope you're doing well. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so nice, right? But it's why? Because I just literally pour myself into them as well. And I let them be them. So what do you do? What do you like? Oh, you like doing that? Get out of here. That kind of stuff, You
made a strong connection with them.
Yeah.
People need to feel a connection.
Yeah.
And they will say that they're leaving for more money.
Yeah.
But that is never the number one reason they're leaving. They're leaving because they either it's the relationship or lack of relationship they have with their direct supervisor.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
I agree. And also another thing that I want leaders who are listening to us right now to understand is that you still have a responsibility to lead. You have a responsibility to have structure. You have a responsibility to show the employee or your team member how is it that they're going to give you what it is that you need for the organization? Because one of the things that I've gotten a lot of when I interview is when they say, I wasn't trained well for my role. I felt unequipped, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Right. Because most, some leaders go from one end to another. They become either your best friend or they become a tyrant. Right. So we have to find that beautiful middle ground where you can still be their leader and they respect you, but also their coach and somebody who can lead them into a better place of themselves as well. So this was awesome. Oh, you left some good stuff on here, Jeannie. I love it. I love it. All right. So I know that there's like I said to you, I have a lot of leaders, a lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs. So if they want to work with you, because I don't see why they wouldn't, right, Jeannie? Like, come on. They want to work with you and call you for their organizations and stuff, because I know that in my organization, we really respect that. And we do that where we hire people to come and like help our teams become better leaders. Right. And that's what I love about it. I mean, it's a good thing. So how do they get in contact with you and your organization? Tell us the name of it, how they get in contact with you, all of that.
It's Dynamism Leadership. And it's the easiest is to go to the website because I have just everything's there. Okay. It's I'll spell it for you. So it's Dynamism Leadership. So DYNAMISM and then leadership.com is the website. Okay. There is a link there to schedule a 15-minute chat with me to see if we're a good fit. We can start there. You can get on my schedule. There's also a link for an upcoming confidence group coaching program. And the seats are filling up, but it's by application only, because when you do group coaching, you really want it to be the right people in the room.
Agreed.
And it's going to be remote, or virtual, so anybody anywhere can join. And that's going to start in January. So that's something that's up and coming. And it's to everything that we talked about. So that application is on there as well. So again, it's dynamismleadership.com.
I love that. And so for those who are listening, Jeannie, is it individuals as well as organizations and companies, everything, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So the group program is designed for individuals, but if there was a team of, a sales team, a marketing team, a software development team that they and any organization wanted the entire team to go through, like I'm doing with an organization right now, that's fine too. So have the leader, the manager reach out to me, and absolutely, we can make that happen.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jeannie. See, I'm a leader, so I love I love this kind of conversation because I know that it can bring change, right? So thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all that wisdom with us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was so fun. I can't believe the talk went so quick.
I know, right? It's so fun. But thank you for being here. And guys, thank you so much for listening. I knew that you would. I mean, I tell you, I find the best humans on the planet. I told you. So Woo! I found Jeannie. Here we are. She dropped some knowledge for you. Now make sure, because I know a lot of you who are listening are leaders. I know you are because I speak with you. We are a close community. You guys are a bunch of straight talkers. Make sure that you go ahead and go onto her website. I will link all of her information below because I don't want you to miss anything. And if you want to work with somebody who's working in teams and corporate on the individual level to like really help you structure what it is, who you're leading and what you're leading, or how you show up when you're leading, this may be the woman for you. So make sure you get in contact with her. I love you guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. You are the best. Okay. I have the best podcasting community ever. I really do. And I appreciate you guys being on here. Make sure you go on to winject.com/register, winject.com/register, and register for my free community because I want to be really connected with you, and I want us to brainstorm and be with each other and connect in a deeper way. If you are looking for coaching, please make sure that you also email me at hello@straighttalknosugaradded.com. I work with women and I help them develop that business that they are envisioning in their hearts so that they can win. Thank you guys so much for being here. Love you, love you, love you. This is Dina Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Until next time.
Today, we discuss Miro. Listen, when it comes to running client workshops, the dream, of course, is to get those creative juices flowing, right? But typically what ends up happening is thousands of hours get wasted because of poorly facilitated meetings. So I have Maya with me today. She's a consultant who runs Fortune 100 workshops, from leadership training to team building, and she has the insider tip on what makes things work. Maya?
Thank you, Jason. I've been doing this a long time. My number one tip is to bring everyone into that visual collaboration platform. So personally, I use Miro, and and it's completely changed how I interact with the room. You have to give people a way to feel like they're in the room even when they're not. That's something you can do easily in Miro. Otherwise, they've seen the same slides and format 1,000 times.
Falling asleep, eyes glazing over, yawns, all that.
Exactly. When people follow me on the Miro board, everyone is literally going on a journey with me. We're adding thoughts, we're reacting, and we're voting for the best ideas. It's great.
Connective magic. I like it. That's MIRO.com.
Israel is 5,690 miles away from the U.S., 11 hours by plane. Hate travels faster. In a comment, in a post, in a second. Jewish hate is up 388% in the U.S. Black hate, Muslim hate, and Asian hate are up too. When one hate rises, they all do. Let's stand up to all hate together. Share and wear the blue square from standuptojewishhate.org.